Assembly Administration Questions and COVID-19. May 14, 2020 by Anna von Reitz. The assemblies are growing by leaps and bounds as Americans realize and come to terms with the situation our nation is facing. Both service corporations are bankrupt, and because they are paralyzed except for emergency funding, they are making up this preposterous story about being at war with the common cold. Let us all realize that there are medical protocols in place which have been in place for over a century that explicitly and surely provide us with the means of identifying viruses and conclusively proving that they are the agents responsible for specific illnesses and symptoms of illnesses. No such protocol has been initiated to identify any virus called COVID-19 or any of the other names that have been used as labels to identify this purported viral threat. Think about that. It's a spoof. If this were an actual bioweapon threat or accident, all effort would be made to identify the specific virus and develop antidotes. The lack of effort to identify any such virus is proof that no such virus exists and that they already know this. This entire shutdown is exactly what Mike Pompeo called it, a live exercise, which can be interpreted as a Defense Department expense and used as a backdoor means to access funding. So now you know the rest of the story. It's their problem, but it is not ours, and it is our job to make sure that their problem does not become our problem to the extent possible. We have already informed the Pope, the Queen, the UN, the international courts, the banks, the just about everyone else who has a hand in the game that our government has not made any declaration of emergency over this virus and won't be doing so. So, what to do with governors and other public pests running around like chickens and squawking out orders that pertain only to their actual employees and dependents, and then trying to presume and enforce these orders on everyone else? First, by all means, give notice that the actual state assembly is in session. Reiterate the fact that neither your assembly nor the United States of America has declared any public health emergency as a result of any unidentified, and at this point, presumed to be fictional virus. Inform the governor, politely, but firmly that he is your employee, and that he has no power to suspend the constitutional guarantees of American state nationals and American state citizens living in, for example, California. See Ex parte Milligan, 71 U.S. 2, 1866, and with respect to American state nationals and American state citizens, still standing, no legislative, executive, or judicial officer may disrespect the constitutions because of any emergency. That is, with respect to us and the members of our assemblies, no suspension of constitutional guarantees can be enacted or enforced. The limits of the present governor's authority apply only to his actual employees and actual dependents of the state of California in our example. Assure him that you have things quite under control and are making progress daily toward lasting solutions that will benefit all, again, for example, Californians. The point is to let him know that you, his employers, are in session and that he is not free to just ram around and make edicts upon the presumption of powers that he does not in fact possess with respect to the non-domestic population outside the inchoate state of California. So, get your pens out and write that letter under your assembly letterhead. I also recommend that you find a button maker and have large pins made that simply say, "I am not your employee or dependent." Just simple black letters on a bright-colored plain background. This will help jerk awake the zombies among us, especially the public employees. They need to be reminded of the facts. Please distribute these to assembly members and declared state nationals who wish to participate in the educational effort. When people ask about this strange declaration, you may feel free to breach the subject of freedom and politcal status and their ability to reclaim their political status as American state nationals or American state citizens. Now, a bit of housecleaning. 1. Some assemblies have been putting up websites that are not secure. This represents a danger to their organization and to security of the whole effort, so we are asking the state assemblies to publish their websites through our secure government-level server. Each state will have its own landing page and control of their content, but the service itself will be secure against cyber attacks, duplications, and other nuisances. There will be a very minimal cost per year. An additional advantage to this will be that it will be easier for people to find their state assembly and be sure that it actually is their state assembly and not some internet con, if all the assemblies are posted at the same server. 2. There seems to be, still, some confusion about the status of state nationals versus state citizens. Please take out your notebooks and save this article for any further questions about this topic. State nationals are not members of assemblies. State nationals have no connection to or obligation to any government at any level, beyond keeping the peace. They are owed all the protections of the American government and all their freedoms, rights, and constitutional guarantees. That said, they don't vote, they don't hold public offices, and their participation in assembly affairs is limited to attending public meetings and expressing their views. Most state nationals have the option to change their minds and become state citizens by electing to do so, a matter of declaring this decision to the state recording secretary. However, some state nationals are precluded from acting in the capacity of state citizens, specifically, children under the age of 21, anyone holding dual citizenship of any kind, which includes not only U.S. citizens, but other foreign nationals, Norwegians, Germans, etc., who may have been born in this country and who may choose to exercise their state national status, but who are prohibited from acting as state citizens. A state citizen holds a unique allegiance to their state of the Union, so as to guarantee as much as possible, no conflicts of interest on their part. Unique means singular. While participating as a state citizen and acting as a member of a state assembly, you may not hold any other allegiance to any other government. Period. This prohibition applies to tribal governments, state-of-state governments, the U.S. federal citizenships, and more obviously foreign governments, like England, Germany, and France. So, state nationals can attend the public meetings of the state assembly and may speak their minds about current issues and take part in that way, but when it comes to the business of the state assembly, they don't have a vote. With rights come responsibilities. Obviously, new immigrants can release their citizenship obligations to their old country via renunciation, can adopt a state under the appropriate requirements, and may then elect to function as state citizens. Obviously, too, when men retire from active and reserve duty in the military and serve notice to their branch commander that they are returning home to their birthright political status, they are freed from the obligations of U.S. citizens HP and may then opt to act as state citizens. The same goes for federal civil service employees, for example, postal workers. They are welcome to preserve their rights and protections as American state nationals now, but they can't participate as state citizens until they quit or retire from their federal jobs. The only other category of political status that is problematic in any way is those who are in transit. If you are in the process of moving from state to state, your participation is limited to being a state national until you settle down again. All people who are born in this country, all legally admitted immigrants who have completed the requirements and adopted a state of the Union as their permanent home, and all federal employees are owed the protections of their state national political status. Most state nationals may change their status to state citizen upon reaching the age of majority, or formally renouncing their foreign citizenship, actual foreign countries, or upon retirement or quitting federal service. There is a great deal of inclusiveness in this system, but also strict requirements. Our forefathers were determined to avoid conflicts of interest and to reward those who participate in the work of self-governance by putting those people in charge. The saying, "with rights go responsibilities," was ingrained in the fabric of our government from day one. If you don't want to weigh in and take part in the work of self-governance, that's fine. You can stay home and grow roses and be secure in your freedoms and guarantees, but, and this is a big but, you are not a member of the state assembly and you don't get to direct the business affairs of the state. 3. All assemblies are called upon to note the use of the Bevins Declaration and the use of both public meetings and business meetings. Public meetings are open to everyone. Business meetings are closed and restricted to state citizens. It is sometimes convenient to schedule both kinds of meetings on the same day, for example, conduct current business from 5 to 6 p.m., and then host a public barbecue from 6 to 7 p.m., and have a public meeting from 7 to 8 to discuss the topics of the day, issue general announcements, and so on. State nationals and foreign citizens, including U.S. citizens, are welcome to attend public events and public meetings. But they are not electors, mostly because of their own choices or their youth. They don't serve as jurors, they can't serve as elected officials or as officers in the state militia. State nationals can be hired by state assemblies to provide services or goods, if there is no obvious conflict of interest. Some people who have thought of themselves as U.S. citizens all their lives will be offended and have a great deal of trouble understanding that there is a difference between being an American and being a U.S. citizen of some stripe. It will be difficult for them to grasp the fact that they have to make a choice between the various political statuses, declare that choice, and record it, in order to access all the freedoms and guarantees owed to Americans. Show them the one-pager that describes the various citizenships versus state national status. As angry and upset and confused as these people may be, as well-intended and patriotic, too, they must be taught the facts and observe the limitations. After all, if someone really, truly wants and deserves all the freedoms and rights owed to Americans, it is a small price to pay to give up a foreign citizenship, or quit a job, and then agree to serve as a juror, or as a militia member or as an elector and attend some meetings and vote once in a while. Federal employees and state-of-state employees are still able to benefit and be protected while they work in these foreign jurisdictions, and once they quit or retire, they are welcome to come home and join the state assembly. Absolutely nobody has any cause to complain. The protections apply to everyone. The limitations exist to protect the states from foreign influence and intrigues that could undermine it. Enough said. Links to Anna's articles and resources can be found in the video description box.